gosh.
I know, almost.
That's
there.
crazy.
I
For a
know.
split few seconds, you were live on the internet without your glasses.
Yeah, I took a photo the other day. It's funny at the house. I have them off quite a bit, but it's a little different. Yeah, it's a little different. So this is actually my COVID-19 uniform.
There you go. There you go.
The glasses, the hat, and this. You though, I'm sure, my dear, are wearing different clothes as you normally do.
I look spectacular every video.
I'm not
It's
surprised.
the only time I put makeup on or brush my hair, so you're welcome.
I will say, like, I do change shirts and things. It always looks like the same shirt, but I have a million of these black T-shirts with paint on them. So I dress like a cartoon character. I I look the same every day. My closet's like a cartoon character's. I could be Popeye. Well, today though, guys, this is really cool. This is something that I'm looking forward to because we don't get to talk about what Jacqi does that often.
Ooh.
And
And I'm right now. I should preface this because I'm looking down. I'm sharing on all the pages, so that's why.
Oh, yeah. So on the feed, we used to share on YouTube Live, and we're going to do that again. Right now, we're sharing on Facebook Live, and so we're doing it on the page, and we're going to share it over to the personal page, and then we're going to put the video on YouTube and all that. But we've been experimenting with, like, does it work better on the timeline? Does it work better like on the personal page or the art page? So it seems like if you can put it on the art page, then you can do more things with it later. Like you can, it's a more robust sort of platform on Facebook. So we're going to try to do that. Were you able to share it over on the personal?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. So cool. So hopefully, I don't understand the internets or anything very well, but
It's
hopefully,
it's a little silly. The workaround is a little silly because you can't necessarily share it on the computer. You get over to your phone, it's little three dots, and I don't know.
it's a little weird. Yeah. So hopefully, it's early days, hopefully for them, and they're getting better. But today, those are really cool, though, I think, because we're going to talk about photos and things. Because Jacqi, for her undergrad, her undergrad, well, you could probably say better than me, but you were in art photography, which you got your degree, but also in journalistic photography, which is cool because two different types of photography, and your degree was actually in film, like a darkroom techniques and all this sort of stuff.
Don't date me.
No, it's just because you're an auteur.
Oh yeah, that's it.
It's nothing because you're old. I mean, that too, of course. But you better not be old. If you're old, then I'm ancient.
Well, I didn't say it.
I probably am ancient, but you're not old. But it's really interesting though, because if you're an artist, at some point you might want to at least make a record of your paintings, and if you want to make prints or anything like that, taking pictures of art is different apparently than taking pictures of anything else. I mean, it's kind of like wedding photography or art photography, or if you're taking pictures outside or if you're in a closed studio, there's different techniques that work better. So Jacqui's had years and years of experience of taking photos of art, done weddings, done all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
Then you got your master's in design, which I think that probably helps more when it comes to a lot of the other stuff you do, like
Problem
layout.
solving.
Yeah, and then you worked in the journalistic department for side of things for years. So like things about layout for newspapers, magazines, books, everything like that. Anything with where you're combining images and text together.
Yeah.
You really learn about that, advertising, all that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to talk to you about these sorts of things because you just have all this experience with this. And I mean, all the way back from, for actual film. So if somebody's using a large format, medium format cameras, and to the smaller, like 35 millimeter cameras, to digital photography, you've used all that.
Yeah.
So I should probably stop talking so much. I wanted to set it up because a lot of times and I'm still talking, but a lot of times, I mean,
I'll just let.
Yeah,
if I don't say anything, he'll go for hours.
I'll just slow down a little bit, but I'll keep talking. But one of the cool things though, or one of the things about the channel is that we talk about my artwork a lot, and I'm always painting and stuff, but we don't talk about the other creative aspects though.
Yeah. I mean, we do a lot of different things, and we experiment a lot with techniques and stuff like that. But yeah, in being a professional artist, there is more than just obviously painting it or producing the art and then sitting back and producing more art. There's, we have to do stuff on the website. We have to document the art. We, try to make a genuine connection with your fans as well as like people that buy your paintings. So there's lots of, there's lots involved. So,
Yeah.
So the photography aspect, yeah, that's tricky. It's definitely, it can be intimidating if you don't know how to do it. I'm sure there's artists out there that just are, you know, kind of distraught in the fact that they can create these beautiful pieces, but they don't know how to document them.
Isn't that the thing too? Because a lot of times somebody will make a beautiful painting, and then the photos just the colors wash out and nothing looks right, and it just and then that's what they're trying to make prints from, or is this terrible picture, and
yeah,
when the actual artwork is pretty cool.
Yeah. So
and Easter eggs. We're also going to talk about Easter
eggs.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about Easter eggs and all that sort of fun stuff. So let's see. Do you want to do the memes?
Yeah, let's meme it up.
Okay.
Let's do it. So I should mention too before we get to the memes.
Yeah.
This is the painting that I've been working on. I think the last two shows I've been working a lot on commissions in the studio. So I've been mostly doing commissions and then kind of saving this for our live shows and stuff. Not meaning to, just the way that it's worked out. Because this is just a painting that I just kind of wanted to do, and
I'm kind of like,
wondering why it's taking so long.
Well, I'm excited to see its progress. So I'm.
Oh, cool.
Well, I wish I saw more.
Oh, great. Well, I'm going to try to get a lot more done on this show. And then, but I'm starting to darken in some of the areas. So I'm going to do that a little bit more to define the face. Like I've darkened in where the nose is, the mouth. I've added some red for the lips around there. That's going to change. There's going to be some greens, some purples and things added. And then some darkness going through the hair.
Are you going to leave the background white?
In places, and I'm actually going to add more white because so I'm going to add some white strands and different things in there, and then her face I'm going to add some burnt sienna and titanium white mixed together to make sort of a nice little light kind of creamy sort of color too. So I'm going to put that in there.
That sounds cool.
It's a skin tone, and some I use a lot of colors, but I've noticed if you use some sort of skin tones as well, that gives it a little hint of realism.
Yeah.
And somehow like it latches onto the brain. It's like an anchor point for the brain. And then I think it makes the colors look even crazier than if you didn't have any normal color.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. That's just what I think.
Well, and so with the guitar, are you gonna do anything to that?
I don't know if I'll have a chance to on this one, on this time, but I will. I'm gonna do some. Yeah, there's some more work on that. I probably won't be able to get to that. That you might be able to knock her, or not knock her, but you might
get
be
her
able
to
to
stop chewing on her bone behind
me. Yeah,
me.
because it's probably I don't know. Chip is in the room and she's got a bone and she's so if you guys can hear that, sorry.
It's slimy.
I don't know if it was coming over on the mics or not, but I just thought sometimes it's those high noises that come through.
Yeah, the dog's bed is right on my right and underneath the table, and they crash there and chomp on things while we work.
You're basically surrounded, aren't you?
Yes, I'm always surrounded by dogs.
Shall we meme?
We shall meme.
To meme. Okay,
so I thought this was hilarious. It's a picture of the top portion. It says "The Apocalypse We Wanted," and it's a picture of a I don't know what movie it's from, but it's a crazy dude that looks serious. He's got a giant crazy lion that's awesome, and they're all outfitted in an apocalypse outfit. And then
awesome.
And then the bottom picture is the one we get, and it's the Tiger King from Netflix and his really terrible makeshift throne and
awesome
with his tame lion.
The apocalypse we wanted, the one we get.
So you can go on to the next. Okay, this one is, why are the annoying servants staying in my home all day now? In my home all day now. It's a cat. It's a picture of a cat, and he's not happy about his owners being home.
Man, kitties.
And then this is a picture of a human in one of those cones of shame, the dog cones of shame, and it says, it's for your own good. You've got to stop touching your face.
That's nice.
So
We,
Amanda Mahoney joined us and says, "I think the picture is from Walking Dead, the top one from the crazy." I figured it was
oh,
a lot of the meme images are coming from Walking Dead, but I honestly I've never seen that show. I've never
wow.
watched that show, so I'm not hip
I watched the
enough.
show up to a point, and then something bad happened to a character, and I don't want to put any spoilers, even though it was long. It killed the show for me for a while because I was just like, ugh, ugh, ugh. And I don't.
Yeah,
It was
I
a bad
remember
moment.
hearing about that.
Yeah, it's still. I'm starting to get over it now.
Yeah,
Hey,
just
gosh,
now,
yeah,
just now
man,
getting over it.
it totally run the zombie apocalypse for me for a while, and I love me some zombie apocalypse.
You do. You watch a lot of that stuff.
You know, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The zombie thing, it's cool and all, and I dig it. I appreciate it, but it's not usually my first go to horror movie.
I like to watch them a lot when I'm feeling sick.
Really?
Uh
Why?
huh. Well, because like whatever bug you've got, they've got it worse.
Okay.
So it makes me feel better. They're like I sure got the sniffles, but at
At least
least
you're
I'm
not
not
eating
hungry for
brains.
brains.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
well, well, you know what?
Anyway,
I'm gonna get busy on some painting. I think while we're chatting, but um, I'm really curious though about photography. See, that's why I'm not a photographer. I'm gonna photography this wedding right up. You hired the right person.
well, first
Don't you worry.
let me ask this: Are you well? I think next we were going to talk about little Easter projects.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Let's do that.
um, all right, so Easter is Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and I know a lot of people are obviously stuck inside, and so you started a Pinterest board, or I helped you, and I should say, Pinterest board of different Easter projects. So for anybody out there that's looking for an Easter project, you can follow John's Pinterest, and he's got a board that's all about Easter art and that sort of fun stuff that you can do with the kiddos. And we have a kid, so we join in on the fun and do that sort of stuff. And thought I would share with you kind of what I thought was cool in perusing the Pinterest and what we
Yeah.
kind of did here at the house. So you can go ahead and start.
Hey, let's see here.
Oh, okay, cool. So um, what you guys are seing is basically one of these chalk. It's one of these eggs that you can buy in the store. You buy a carton of them, but they're like chalk eggs, and they feel like, I don't know, they're hollow and just feel like chalkboard topping, and then you can like chalk on them and all sorts of stuff. But we in our house have so much of this tulip paint. It's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I love this stuff. We use it for everything. We use it especially for a lot of workshops because it's really cool. It leaves I don't know if it's in focus, but it leaves a raised line and it dries in about 20-30 minutes.
And Tulip actually sent us the
Yeah,
all
Tulip
that.
sent us a bunch of stuff, which was really awesome. The company is called I Love to Create, and this is one of their products, and it's phenomenal because John uses a ton of it. We use a ton of it for workshops to do the raised line drawings for people, and then they have a million different types of products that, like this is neon pink, and they have like a spray gun type thing. They have all sorts of fun things. So, and I know right now some people like to do those that you find a rock and you leave these sort of patterns all over them and create this. So, go grab some plastic eggs and some tulip paint that's you can get in like these packs of multicolored like this, and just go to town.
One of the cool things I really love about that idea is that if you make an ornament in Christmas, you've got that ornament forever. But in Easter, you spend a lot of times decorating eggs, and then you destroy it to eat it, which is kind of cool. Like it's a
Yeah,
very Buddhist sand painting, Navajo sand painting sort of thing, where you make something and then it's not forever; it's for a moment.
yeah,
But it's also nice to have these things that you have there every year. So you go back and you've got this egg that you can put out, and you can decorate it. You
yeah,
can make different ones, and they last forever.
yeah.
That's pretty neat.
There is an egg that we made at your parents' house a few years ago that I did in the likeness of John's dad, and
Huh.
it's it is still in the little like candle holder that's up like this
Is it a
sconce
real
or whatever
egg?
it's called on the wall on their wall in their dining room, which I think is
Is
hilarious.
it a real egg?
No, it probably was a probably one of these hollow
Oh
eggs. I
gosh,
don't
I was gonna
remember.
say that's gonna be a surprise one
Yeah,
day if
no,
it
no,
ever.
no, no. But it had like little glasses and a little like hair pattern. It was still sitting there. It's hilarious.
That's funny. We'll have to.
So,
Well, we'll have to look for that next time they're over there.
but yeah, these are fun things, and I mean, you can do all sorts of. The kids can draw happy faces on them. You can do whatever. You draw characters. It's pretty fun. So, and it doesn't have to be that type of paint. It can be any paint you find in your house. I mean, I don't know if you're like me and you're not going to the store, you're just like finding anything around the house. You can get pretty creative.
You know, a cool thing too, if you don't have like the charcoal kind of eggs, you can also blow an egg out. Like you can hollow the egg
Oh
shell,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
put a little hole in the top and put a little bigger hole in the bottom, and
Mm-hmm.
then blow them out.
Yeah,
And then you could decorate. Of course, keeping them solid for the whole year would be hard, but at least they wouldn't
yeah,
go bad.
yeah. That's true.
Mm. You can always resin them later.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for Easter all of a sudden. So what do you got next on there?
Let's see.
Okay, this was a cool project. We didn't do this. Jack and I haven't done this yet, but I want to do this. This is you take eggs and you create a geode with it. So this kind
Ooh.
of is also, especially homeschool. We homeschool, so this is I thought would be really fun to do. We just haven't done it yet. And this basically, you take any egg you want from your fridge or whatever, and you crack it open on the top. And like you can get a screwdriver and crack open like a little quarter size hole, or delicately trying to crack it in half, and then you get rid of the egg part. You can save it for cooking or whatever, and then you wash out the inside and get rid of the membrane, and then you coat it with Elmer's glue, sprinkle Epsom salt all over it, and then you have to boil a bunch of in hot water a bunch of Epsom salt, ladle it into the egg, and then you just leave it sit for days. And you
Wow.
can mix food coloring and stuff in it. It's pretty easy, but that recipe is on the Pinterest board as well.
Wow, that sounds
That
cool.
one, yeah, that one actually, like out of all these, that was the one that Jack was like, "Wait, what? That sounds cool."
That does
So
sound cool,
that
man.
might get somebody excited instead of
It's
I
really
don't know.
neat. Wonder if you'd be able to use one of those fake eggs, like if you cut it in half.
Um, Maybe I don't know.
I was just
I don't
wondering,
know. I don't know.
to make it more durable, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, I don't know. You could
Mm,
experiment. It's not
yum.
like we don't have time.
Yeah, that sounds cool. You want to see the next thing?
Go for it. Okay, so this is a little unconventional. This isn't necessarily on the Pinterest board, but um, Jack and I really like to do Sculpey things, and Sculpey is basically this polymer clay. Well, you can't really see, but it comes. It looks like this when you buy it in the art store, and you can buy it in all different colors. You can buy it in white or whatever. This is kind of the logo, if it helps, of it. But we like to make all sorts of different sculptures, and then you can, after you make the sculpture, you just bake it for 15 minutes, and then you can paint it, or you can leave it white, or you can buy Sculpey that's the actual color, whatever. So the other night we worked on Sculpey, and I like to do robots. I'm obsessed with them. So I sculpted a little robot and a bunny, and he sculpted a bug from a video game that um, eats people's heads. I'm not quite sure what this thing is, and it's a little scary, but it looked pretty good. It looked just like the crazy bug. So
Why?
he didn't
I,
finish it. He's still adding the legs. He's got that it's like a structured sort of. We had to wire some things. It was crazy,
that
but
sounds cool. I haven't felt these things yet.
you
Like,
haven't felt that robot?
no, you guys were working on stuff, and then y'all fired them, but then I never.
Oh, well, you'll have to feel it.
Yeah, I'm curious. That sounds cool. I love the stuff you guys make.
Yeah, we dig the Sculpey. It's fun.
Well, that's awesome, man. Way to go.
Anyway, so that's like just a quick sneak peek of some Easter ideas. I mean, really, there's a million of different things that you could do. Again, Pinterest is just a well of information. So, and John has a board all dedicated to Easter art. So it's called the Art of John Bramlett on Pinterest, and you can follow that board. And if your kids need some Easter ideas or anything like that, man, there's no shortage.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
Way to go. And really, to be honest, like you're the one that really does that board. I'm horrible with Pinterest. I mean, I love the ideas, like we talk about it and all and everything, but I have a hard time post like with the photos and all that.
Yeah, it is a bit
So
tricky. I mean, it's
yeah,
visually based, so
yeah.
it is a
So
little,
so so,
little.
so you pick all the photos and all that, which is nice,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
really
Well,
cool.
I fill you in, tell
Yeah,
you what's going on.
yeah, yeah. Which is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
Anyway, so yeah, check out the Easter art stuff. And I know from our last show on Monday, a lot of we were talking about how to get inspired and how to boost your art making abilities and all that fun stuff last show, and it spilled into this photography conversation that we all had. And a few people on there were really wanted to hear kind of the inside scoop on how we document the paintings and a little bit of the business aspect of this. So
Yeah.
any info we can share, we thought this would be
Mhm.
a great time to do it. So
Yeah, and
we're gonna
it's a major thing is I mean because I mean once you I mean like it's like the next step in with art, is that you make the art and then you want to share the art, and even if you're going to share it on Instagram or the socials and all that,
yeah,
you need a good photo of it, or it's not going to come across to people.
yeah,
So it's not even if you want to make a print or if you want to try to sell prints for the art, but it's just if you're wanting to get your art out there in any sort of way, like you've got to have a good photo of it.
yeah. So I mean, in especially now, if you're trying to sell online, because that a lot of people aren't going out and they're not going to galleries and they're not going to art festivals and stuff like that. So if all of a sudden your world's turned upside down, then selling online is ideal. So in order to do that, you have to document your art, get a really good image of it, and figure out a way to sell it. So uh,
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
yeah. So okay, should we do this?
Let's
Should
do
we
it.
start? Okay. Okay. So this I thought was really funny when I found this. When you are documenting your art, now obviously John does paintings, so when I photograph his art, it's not like this necessarily. It just depends. This is more if you are a 3D artist. So if you do sculpture or pottery or anything like that, you're going to use a light box. Okay, so obviously you can Google Lightbox all day long. You can buy one on Amazon. You can buy them in different sizes. We have a small one and we have a really, really big one.
Yeah, we have like a 6 foot
Yeah, it's
one.
huge. It's a monster, and it's one of those like accordion folding things that's just you spend all day trying to fold it back up.
And I want to say this isn't like it's just like the thing is 6 feet, and when you like it's like a pop up tent sort of
Smacks you
thing.
in
So
the
like
face.
yeah, whenever you get it to a certain point, suddenly it springs and you're just like oh my gosh, it's like a people trap.
Yeah, it's people trip. Yeah, but what's funny, so we have all these. We have this. A professional light box and all that fun stuff. But I know some people out there are just starting with photographing their art, and they don't want to spend the money on a light box. They just want to get an even, nicely shot photo of their art and not spend money to do it because you're desperate and trying to make money. So I found this on the internet and I thought this was brilliant because all this is a cardboard box that they've cut. Obviously, the top might be open and it's on its side, but they've cut out the side and the top of it into so you can see it's like a square cutout. So there's still the framework of the cardboard box, and then they've put like a thin sort of tissue paper or I mean you can probably go to the art store and just buy like a vellum paper and then put a light source on the top and on the two sides, and that vellum paper will diffuse the light so it's not so harsh. And then the key also is to take a poster board and put it in the back so you'll see underneath that plant and kind of curving upwards is the poster board. So it gives it a look as if it has no seam in the back. So
Sounds
it's
cool.
brilliant. Like I wish I had seen that when I was in college. Brooke just joined us. She said I used it for food photos, which yes, a lot of people
Oh.
photograph food, and she used it when she was teaching. So this is really great because I mean you'll just have to pay for the vellum paper, and I'm sure you have some lamps you could point in that direction and cut up a cardboard box from your latest Amazon order or something like that. So this is great again for any sort of three-dimensional art piece and jewelry as well. Like if you need to position the jewelry really nicely, it's great for any of that.
That is such a great idea. And I know some artists and people like they think that they have to have the most expensive equipment. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I have a video that I'm going to be putting out where I'm talking about paints, and if you really need the expensive paints, and sometimes you do, and sometimes you might need a really expensive light box, maybe if there's a particular thing that you're working on. But most of the time, it doesn't matter. Like the supplies that you're using, nobody cares if you spend $1,000 on it or if it's something that you're able to put together. It's the work at the end of it. You
Yeah, I
know.
mean, if you can finagle getting a great shot from rigging some things together, I mean, that's what you do. That's what you do until, and you fake it till you make it.
Yeah, and it's surprising how many professional photographers that I've talked to, like Michael, and I will mess up his last name, but from Brazil, he was here, and he was doing stills and stuff for a film that they were shooting here. Um, but his main job was doing food photography. And he does this amazing stuff and all the tips and tricks and things that they use, and and it's just thinking creatively and using materials in
Yeah,
different
food.
ways.
You're right, and food actually is a bit different, I will say. In fact, Brooke just chimed in and said for food, you place the lights lower so the light shows shadow and textures, which is very true. And your placement of the lights is different because you don't want the food to look flat. With art, you don't want to cause any harsh shadows because you want people to see every aspect in it to be clean. But it's a little different with food. So if you're
Mhm.
if you're shooting food, you probably want to Google
Yeah.
how to shoot food.
And I'll say this too. I didn't realize this. I found this out kind of recently, but food photographers charge an insane amount of
Well,
money.
they
I mean,
know they've got some
insane.
crazy tricks up their sleeve. Like they don't
Yeah,
use
it's
milk; it's Elmer's glue. It's weird. It's he was
yeah,
telling us all kinds of wacky things that I was like, "What? That's
yeah.
disgusting."
And America has changed a little bit. Like there's some things where you can't. It has to be like you can't do something that they wouldn't normally do or something. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. Like but a really good food photographer knows all the laws and the rules that they're constantly changing. That's one reason they're paid so much
yeah,
because the people can get sued if it was like there was one cereal people that they or no soup. They made it where you could see all the stuff in the soup. Like they put it they like filled it with sand or something, and then put
yeah,
the soup on top so you could see all the
yeah.
stuff.
So everything came to the surface.
Yeah, and they were like, no, that's not normal. So now what they do is just they make these special bowls that are really really thin,
Yeah,
but the bowl's filled. It's just the bowl's
that's
only maybe a quarter
sneaky.
inch
Yeah,
deep. I
yeah.
don't know.
Brooke says I have a PowerPoint that she can share, and she said car oil for pancake syrup. So.
Nice.
Ugh. But thank you for the
Delicious.
PowerPoint. I don't know if you can share it up as a link or as a comment or something. That would be cool. Um, so yes. So I would definitely suggest, obviously, doing a little bit of research. It doesn't cost anything to Google, but this is one way to get a light box on the cheap. And if you don't have, if part of the issue is that you think you need some sort of like fancy camera, you don't. Okay, because I mean, I have a regular camera because that was my what I studied in school. But you really can use your phone. You just have to make sure the lighting is accurate and clear, and I mean everything's got to be well lit. So again, it's not really about the camera; it's more about how you lit everything.
That's interesting. I was wondering about that. If because you see these photographers and they've got these crazy expensive cameras, and of course
I mean, there is
time is money, and they want
yeah
to make sure they get the right shot,
yeah
and they're as quickly as they can, and different lighting and all that. But so you're saying that you don't absolutely need that though to be able to
you
get a
don't
good shot.
need like an SLR, like a DSLR, like a fancy
Hmm.
Canon or Nikon or whatever. You can use your phone. I, I mean, they've got phones now where the megapixels are off the charts, and again, that doesn't even matter because all that is more detail in a single like pixel. But if that pixel isn't lit properly, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
So really, what's important is it's really well lit, and you have you have a decent, like somewhat decent. You got to get some high res because you again, if you want to reproduce this for prints for people, you have to get you have to get a nice resolution photo. So a lot of phones these days do that fine. You may have to check your settings and stuff, but it's really about how you light the art.
You've convinced me.
So that, so again, this is for 3D art. It's a light box. You can go on to the next one. All right. Oh, can you take off our the images of us? Thanks. Okay, on this one, and we can go back. We can put ourselves back up in a second. But I wanted everybody to see this is like an aerial view of how you would photograph a 2D piece of art. So like a painting, you basically want to stand directly in front of it, and then you want two light sources at a 45-degree angle exactly pointed at the 2D object, the painting or whatever. And if you have glass on the painting or something, you've got to get it off. Because working with glare is a pain, and I wouldn't even try. So, and another trick about this though is that if you've got two light sources, like two lamps, if they're like harsh bulbs just pointing, that can be problematic. They really need to be diffused light. So even if you've got a lamp and you just put like a really sheer sheet over it or in front of it, that would probably help. But if it's just straight, a work lamp, it's probably going to cause too much glare in one direction. So, I would suggest trying to diffuse the light a little bit, but it's that easy. I mean, you just get two light sources. They've got to be evenly, 45 degrees apart, and you just stand in front. You try to get no glare, and then grab an image and fill the frame with the image. And another helpful hint would be to use just like, don't use a zoom lens because you'll distort the edges. You just want to use like a regular lens on that.
Well, that's really interesting.
So it's I can see how people would think it's they don't know anything about this, so it's a little intimidating. But really, I mean, you just gotta like jerry rig something, see how it looks, and then just try some things, Google some things. It's actually pretty easy.
Well, that's really cool. Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, if somebody did want to take it to the next level and did want to buy a camera, is there like a type of camera to go for? I mean, like is there a certain, like are you looking at the megapixels, or are you looking at, or do you want more functionality? Like you mentioned a DS, what is it?
DSLR.
DSLR.
Yeah.
What is, yeah, and for those of us that don't know, because I, of course, you obviously do. I know.
Yeah.
We're not.
Oh yeah.
What would that be?
A digital single lens reflex. It's nobody really needs to know.
And I know what that means too, but
Okay.
let's say I didn't.
Well, really quick before we go further, Ken joined us. He said he's never going to eat editorial food again.
Oh.
After hearing what they photograph it with.
Oh.
And Brooke said, do you use a headlight above the photographer? No, you do not. At least not for this technique. Now, if you're taking portrait work, I mean, you move lights all around. Depends on what kind of look you're getting, and unless you're just doing straight standard or whatever. But for photographing art, you don't want to use a light straight on. You just the two 45-degree angles. And then Barbara Brands joined us, which she's probably more of an expert than I am.
Oh my goodness, Barbara's an excellent photographer.
And,
oh my goodness.
She said, "Can you use a 50mm prime?" Which, yes, actually, that's what I would suggest. So, yeah, it is the most basic sort of just evenly light something and take a picture. Now, I'll tell you what I actually do, and this is kind of a little bit of a cheat. Is I am lazy and don't really like to set up the lights. So I wait for, which nowadays it happens often, I wait for a kind of cloudy day outside, and then I take all the paintings outside, and if it's like evenly lit because it's cloudy, you don't want too much sun, you definitely don't want any sun glare or anything like that, just evenly lit because of clouds, and then you go outside, and I lay down a poster board so that it reflects the light back up onto the painting, and I just photograph the paintings outside. Now, the catch though is that shooting in outside in the shade causes this like cast of blue a little bit, so you have to go into Photoshop. That's a little bit of an extra step, but I don't mind because I use Photoshop all the time. And you just have to correct the white balance. So, and I end up having to do that all the time for John's work anyway, because his colors are so bright that I struggle sometimes to capture the vibrancy of them. So I already have to do a lot of Photoshop work. So if you don't know how to rig lights and all that sort of stuff, but you want to, then you could try and take it outside in the shade and then just try to color correct it in Photoshop after the fact. So let me backtrack a little bit on this. Okay, Brooke said Rembrandt versus butterfly, etc. Yes, those are different portrait like ways you can figure your lights and stuff.
No, no. You might want to talk about that
Well,
because
that's more
because
like if you're
because
doing
I
portrait
thought you were
work.
talking about the artist and a bug. Like I thought, oh, is this a poem?
What?
Like Rembrandt and the butterfly.
It's just like if you go to photography school and you're studying portraits,
Mhm.
it's it's different scenarios of how the lights are set up, and so your teacher will be like, is that a butterfly lighting setup, blah blah blah. I mean, but that again, that's not to photograph art. That's if you're photographing people. Um,
Yeah, and
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 then
that's something. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but that's something I learned from you is that photographing art is like its own sort of thing. I mean, it's
yeah.
different. It seems like.
And Barbara said when you said regular, I wasn't sure what regular was. Sorry, I probably should have clarified, but 50 millimeter is perfect. Um, and Brooke says, can you just do white balance on the camera? Uh, and then she said Lightroom is amazing. You can do white balance on the camera, but sometimes people don't have that white balance ability. So I mean, if you are just working with the most basic stuff, and you could play around on your phone. I mean, if you're photographing it with your phone, you could play around with correcting some things, but it can be tricky. But Lightroom, there you go. It's amazing. You can mess with that. Uh, so, and then Barbara said, just a comment about your lovely kudos you just gave. Oh, thank you. When a person says you know everything already, that is a day they stop learning. I'm still learning. So I appreciate that. Yes.
Barbara, though, just to give a shout out to her. She's actually come out to murals and stuff that I've worked on and is gone out there and covered it. And she shoots so many different things. We
I mean,
follow
like it
her
seems like
socials
every
and
day she's out
yeah, yeah.
photographing.
You are
So,
so busy. You need to sit down and rest a
well,
little.
yeah, I think she is
Oh,
now.
yeah, you probably are now.
But yeah, it was like every post was a
But yeah,
so just
but if you're into art though, I mean, really go check out Barbara. I can't talk. Barbara Brandt's artwork. You could probably say it better.
well, if Barbara has a website, throw it up there on the comments and
Oh yeah,
mention
please,
it. But
please.
I know she does. Anyway, so that's kind of the basic with photographing the art. If you guys have more questions about all of that, you can throw them in the comments or like when it's up on YouTube, I'll try to get back to them. But another thing that I don't think we talked about that I feel is important if you're trying to sell art um, online is obviously you need a website. But a lot of people that have a website and they don't even know where to start with like prints and all of that sort of stuff.
Mm.
So what John and I do is we have most quite a bit of John's paintings online on bramlett.com, and you can go on there, and we use a service called Shopify. Now you have to pay monthly for it. Again, when you're doing website stuff, a lot of this is what is it worth to you? Are you making money enough yet to pay for it all and all that fun stuff? So I know when we first started, we had a WordPress site that was free, and I forget what service we used, but when somebody placed an order, they made the print, they did everything, and they shipped it to the person. But we made like $5. It
I
was
think it was ArtSpan at the time.
yeah, it sounds
It's just good, but
familiar.
like the person got to pick their matting and their frame and everything
Yeah,
on it. So, but they built it all. They printed it. You didn't do it. You didn't have to do anything, which was nice. You
yeah,
didn't make anything, but
yeah,
didn't have to do anything either.
yeah. No, no, exactly. Brooke says if anyone wants her PowerPoint, email brooke.scoggins@gmail.com, and she can send whatever you're interested in. And
Well,
so
that's
thank you,
sweet,
Brooke.
bro.
That's really nice.
That's so sweet.
And Barbara sent her website. It's aimingforfun.com. So she's got some great work on that too.
And Barbara's just such a nice person, and so is Brooke for that matter too. So you know,
Also nice.
yeah, it's everybody on here. We're just nice people. We just
We're so cool.
we're so cool.
So anyway, so with the website stuff, we used to use a service. I think it was Artspan. I think you're right, and WordPress. So the website was free, but the creating of the art cost. I mean, they got a giant chunk of the sale basically, and so I didn't really like that. I mean, it seemed like I don't know, we just weren't making enough, so I didn't like that. So we moved over to a service called Shopify, which is hugely popular. A million people use it, and uh, and we do the prints ourselves. And so we basically, I mean, Shopify takes their tiny little percentage, like PayPal or anything like that, out of each transaction, but it's nothing compared to these other places that want a giant percentage because they're doing all the work, which
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Instead of you making like 5%, you lose like 5%. So
yeah,
and and not that you're making 95% off the prints, because you still have to have them made. You have to the cost of materials and all that, but but it's different than than if somebody buys $250 worth of prints and you make $5 off that whole thing.
yeah,
You start thinking like, surely
yeah. You're
there's
like,
a better
how
way
can I
about
make this
this.
work in my favor?
Yeah.
So when we decided to change things up, then it becomes a game of doing a lot of research into like how are the prints made, what's the procedure, what's the best buy, all that sort of stuff. So what John and I basically do is we buy all the mats, and these are like traditional 16 by 20 mats with like an 11 by 14 cutout for the hole for the image, and it's got a backing board and a bag. You can buy it all in bulk, and you can buy it on Amazon through I forget what the company is that sells it through Amazon. I forget what it's called. But
Golden State?
yeah, it's Golden Art. I think it's Golden Arts.
Golden State Art?
Golden State Arts. I think you're right. Huh. But anyway, if you go on Amazon and you search 16 by 20 mats, bag, and board, it'll start coming up. And then you'll start seeing all different sizes. So if you don't want to offer 16 by 20, you can offer 11 by 14 or 5 by 7 or 8 by 10 or whatever. And then we buy them in bulk, and we have a workroom in the back of the house, and so we just, as orders come in, we go to get the prints done. So like after I photograph and color correct and everything, I'll take the digital files up to a place in town, and they'll print out the painting, and then I bring them back to the house. I mat them. I get John to sign the mat and box it up and everything, and then we send it out. So it is a little bit of work on our end, but I mean, it's way better than having another service. It's just, you just have to like, find, where you're going to buy the mats and just be willing to do it.
I should say too that this is for the regular prints. We also offer limited edition prints, and we didn't for a long time until we found a company that can print them out on canvas and make them like stretch canvas and are really good. And we don't make those, so we still have a company make those.
Yeah,
because it's basically a Jacqi that and we don't.
Yeah, it's got a coating of
yeah, and you've got to get a special
and
printer for it to make a Jacqi, and they're thousands and thousands of dollars. So, you make you do what you can, but one of the things I think with the prints that's really cool is that the town that we live in, they have a really good printer. So
yeah,
so we're lucky that we live close to a printer that can print art prints, and that's probably one of the hardest things is to find someone that can reproduce your images to make them look right.
Yeah, depending on where you are, you will probably have to go do a little bit of research about who does printing. I know like there's Thomas Reaper Graphics. They're high end. They're Alpha Graphics is another place that's a chain that you kind of. But sometimes you can find almost like mom and pops that kind of specialize in it, and they're great because they'll help you calibrate. Their printers may be their color might be slightly different, and so then going in when you bring your digital files that maybe their printer prints a tiny bit darker, so you have to lighten your file a little bit. So it is a little bit of trial and error, but printers know this, and they expect to work with you on this sort of stuff. So.
Oh, I was just thinking too. There's a whole nother option too. They're scanning. I mean, that's extremely expensive. So we're talking about doing things on the cheap.
Yeah.
But there's also a service where you can go and they don't use a camera. Well, it's a kind of a camera, but it's what is the place?
It's called cruise scanning.
Cruise scanning, where instead of taking just a picture, it's like the entire machine goes over the painting, and it's really great because if you have 3-dimensional art or if you have art that's got an intense amount of color, it makes a crazy huge picture, and it's perfect.
I
I mean,
mean,
it's
it
just
is ridiculously high res.
yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
And
if you have a lot of texture in your paint, apparently when it prints out, or you get the photo, it looks like you can see the texture. I mean, it looks realistic,
it's beautiful.
but it's extremely extremely expensive. It's like 150 setup fee, I think, before they even start taking any photos or anything. So,
Well, it's not, the setup fee is only like 25. It's
oh,
that
I
they,
hold it. I don't know what I'm talking about.
well,
You
it,
should, you should talk about.
okay, like Thomas Reaper Graphics does this. It's cruise scanning. It's just a high end giant digital image if you need it. And I think the setup back when we've done it for some of the paintings, depending on where they're going or what the project is. But I think the setup fee was like 25 bucks. But then for every like square inch, that's they charge you. So the bigger the painting is, the and I don't remember what that price was, but I remember thinking, oh, we're only going to do this when we absolutely have to.
Yeah, it was always hundreds.
Yeah, yeah, easily.
But also whenever we would do it though, we usually wouldn't just get one done because whatever the setup fee was or whatever um if it made more sense to do a bunch of them at the same time. That way you didn't have to keep paying the fee over and over and over.
Yeah,
So we would go and get a bunch, and I was doing a lot of textured resin pieces that were
yeah,
very shiny.
that I could not photograph very well.
Yeah, so it's like if you're painting with resin or on something that's almost like glass like that, there's so many glare points coming from light. It's all, anywhere there's enough light to see it. There's glare on it, but with a cruise scan, there's no glare, so you just get a perfect image without
Yeah,
any glare.
there's a painting, I believe it's on your website, called Iago, and it's on that was John did that back in the day when he was doing a lot of resin work, and on that painting it's like this creepy figure that's kind of really big in the frame, and all of its like dreadlock looking hair is resin bits and glass, and it was just beautiful, and
It's really thick.
it was just really cool. And there was absolutely no way I could photograph that without glare just going everywhere. And so when we got it cruise scanned, it was, and when we reprinted it, I was, I'd pull my jaw off the ground. I was like, it looks like you're staring at the painting. How they do that. It's just amazing.
And there's something to be said for that, isn't it? I mean, it's terrible when something's expensive and you don't feel like you got what you paid for. But it's nice whenever even if it's expensive, but it actually works and you actually get what you wanted.
Yeah.
So, if it's something that it's really thick and shiny and there's no other way you can get a photo, at least it's nice to know there is a way to get an image, and then you can make prints of it. You can make it limited editions.
Yeah.
And I mean, and even though it's expensive, if you think about the price, like even if it costs $150, $250 to get the image of that painting, I mean, you sell one limited edition and you've more than paid for that image, and
Yeah.
then everyone after that is like you're just making money.
Yeah.
So that's another way to think about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there is going to be scenarios where you have to spend money to make money, but again, if you're just wanting to like document your art, there are ways to jerry rig a cardboard box.
Yes, yes.
And create a little light box, which is genius. So, but
Yeah.
that was pretty much it. That's like, I mean, it's not too many secrets, but that's pretty much how we function.
And that's how we get her done, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I want to show where this painting is here on this. And so I've been adding some dark lines in and some light lines in, and just kind of going in, having a little bit of fun with it. So I'm using all that color that I had before, and I'm putting that in, and as a it's the background color basically.
Yeah.
So now I'm going in and I'm kind of shaping it all up with some black lines, giving a little bit more definition. And I'm doing it with a little bit of white lines too, that I don't know if you can see, but I've been putting some white lines in as well. So the next step will be to add even more color, and then I'll define it again. But the reason I'm doing this, I have all the crazy color and then I'm adding the definition, is that I want to give it more of a layered technique, like so that it looks like instead of the hair being just completely one dimensional, which would look cool, I want it to look like there's lots of dimensions of the hair. So even though I'm going to be painting over a lot of the stuff I did, the parts that aren't painted over, it's going to have a natural kind of flow to it. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Cool.
That's what I've been doing.
There you go. Brooke said one of my former yearbook kiddos, Rachel, just joined.
Oh, nice.
So
Well,
awesome,
cool.
awesome.
Well, that's really cool. And And if you guys are kind of more interested, like if there's people out there that are wanting to know more about how to make prints, or, I mean, and not that we know all the answers to any of this stuff at all, but we've been working at it for years, and I also know that it's really hard sometimes to get people who are artists or make their living as art with art to divulge their secrets and just say what in the heck they do and how, which I think is silly, really. I mean, you know, it, I think like I've always thought like I've never had it happen where I helped an artist and then that ended up causing you like problems or something. It's like I think some artists think, well, if I tell this person how to do this, then I'm going to lose some sales or something, because
Yeah.
people are going to buy their art. I don't think that's true. I mean, I think every person's art's different, and if somebody connects with your art, they're going to buy your art. Somebody connects with their art, they're going to buy their art.
Yeah.
And if somebody likes their art, buy their art. It's all it's
Support an artist.
exactly. I mean, it's just so. So if you guys have any questions like about galleries, about museums, working with them, working with galleries, festivals, setup, how do you get into one? How do you decide which ones to look at? Because there is a crazy amount of difference, like with festivals, with galleries, with museums.
There's a big learning curve with festivals.
Oh yeah, yeah, and with festivals, you need a good run up time. So a lot of times, I think people think with an art festival, if it's a juried art festival, if it's like a flea market or
Yeah.
kind of a festival where it's like, oh, it's arts and crafts, that's different than a juried art festival. With those, you have to have your poop in a group about 6 or 12 months out,
Yeah.
at least minimum. And but with because of that, if you are thinking about doing that kind of sales, um, you need to be thinking about next spring, like right
Which is
now.
perfect right now because nobody's doing art festivals right now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
So
now's the time to prepare.
yeah, yeah, it is. But also that said, it means like if you miss that window, then it might be another year though. Then so you
That's
want to
true.
make sure that you get the images that you need, you get the setup that you need, and that you don't learn like 6 months from now, like, oh, I should have done this. I'm not going to get in because I didn't take the right image or I didn't do this one thing I should have done.
Yeah.
So anyway, if we can help with any of that, we're down.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you, sweetheart, for talking about all this photography
Oh,
mumbo jumbo,
sure.
and it's I always find it fascinating. It never sticks in my head. Like you start mentioning f stops and things, and I think like, no, I'm not. It's over my head.
Well, it's funny because I mean, when I think back to like when we first started doing all this, and the first round of trying to get digital images of John's work, and this is going to date me, but was before like digital cameras were really a big thing. So, um,
Well, that's weird
so
because I'm not before digital cameras. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. So I took all slides. This is, I mean, because when you're an artist, especially like back in the day, and you would submit to a gallery, you submit slides.
oh yeah, it took the art world a long time
Yeah,
to modernize. Like
yeah,
they hung onto their slides, even
yeah.
when you couldn't buy things to see the slides.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like
So, and I was
how
an
did
art
that?
student. Yeah, I was an art student. So I knew when we submitted to galleries, it had to be in slide form. And so everything was shot with slides.
Forgot about
And then
that.
when you wanted the digital image to recreate prints or do anything like that, you had to go get the slide scanned, and you got a disc with really as high end files as possible. But yeah, in our filing cabinet in the back of the house, I have like old school slides
Oh,
and
that's cool.
stuff.
Oh, we gotta make jewelry out of it or something.
Mhm.
That'd be kind of cool, like a little window, the slide,
Yeah.
or maybe it's just me. I don't know.
No, that sounds kind of. I like that. Look at you with your ideas.
Yeah, it's just because I don't know what I'm. But I do remember when you were first taking photos of the paintings and stuff. Like I didn't know anything about photography. I was blind. I didn't, so I wasn't going to start learning photography. Really, I mean, you can. There's some incredible blind photographers, so I shouldn't say I wouldn't start, but I didn't have the interest. But she was like, but Jacqui was like, I can't get the right picture. And I thought, well, is there just like a button? Like you push the button? And I was like, picture.
You're
Apparently,
cute.
there's more to it.
You're so adorable.
I was like, please, there's a button for this for
Yeah.
this photo
Yeah.
taking thing.
Yes.
Oh, it should.
Anyway.
Well, it was at that point that I knew that it all gone awry. Hmm. But anyway,
So yeah, if anybody has any other questions about the photography aspect or how we do the prints or any of that, just shoot us an email or leave it in the comments on the Facebook or the YouTube, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with us
I
again.
guess that's pretty much it. Are you good? You gonna
Yeah,
take a break from
yeah,
your
yeah.
painting?
I think um, I've got a lot to think about photography, about how that works, and oh, but I do want to say, and we'll post on the socials and stuff. But we're really wanting to reach out to other artists, and on Monday we're going to talk about our some of the art that we have here at the house in our own collection, and I would love to share some artwork that you guys are working on, and put that out there. And if you're a professional or non-professional artist, but you have some stuff for sale and you want to, put your website out there, send it to us. Let us know.
Yeah.
And that would be great. And if you get it to us before next Monday, then we can actually incorporate it into the show. But if you're live next Monday, then you can always share your link and stuff, in the comments and all that. But I think it would be a lot of fun though if we could actually put the images, and out there as the show's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this isn't the last time we'll do something like that.
We have a lot of art in the house, so I don't think we would cover all of our art in the house.
Yeah, yeah, and we want to talk about y'all's art more often. I mean, I'm always talking about my art, and as we all know, I love to talk, but it's really cool. Like one of the great things about art, and one of the things I love is that you get to meet some of the best people, and everybody's creating, and everybody's sharing their ideas, and I learn more from other artists than I do from articles that I read or videos that I listen to or podcasts or anything. So, so please do us a favor and share your stuff, and we'll try to get it out there too.
Yeah. Thanks for joining. And like the Facebooks and subscribe and all that fun stuff.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.